what would you say are some environmental issues that you kind of have to tackle when it comes to taking a boat out? Like, I mean, obviously the private property damage, you got to drive a crane into someone's yard, like you tearing up the landscaping. But what about some other things that people might not think about as far as like, environmental risks go?
Well, I think first and foremost, you've got to look at your federal and state law. Any discoloration on the surface of the water requires a report.
Mm.
And as soon as you report it and the Coast Guard Marine Safety officers show up and your state environmental agencies show up, that's a whole new game. If you want to see an owner have to move very quickly, that's how you do it. Lots of people in uniforms. We are lucky here in that our DEM, which is, I guess, most other states would call it a DNR, they are very good. They have their own crew that will come down and assist with the cleanup. They provide the product. They will give us the barrels. They will handle the disposal for us. Makes our life a lot easier not having to deal with that. But just think of what you've got coming up to the surface of the water, especially if you've got to put divers in it. You've got gasoline, you've got diesel, you've got whatever came out of the marine sanitation device.
Mm.
There are a lot of, I think, issues people don't think of. All they think about is the lube oil in the engine. I can assure
Yeah.
you, when my divers are getting in the water, they are intimately aware of everything that's leaking out of that vessel, and it's a problem. And a lot of states have very harsh legislation on the books for what will happen if you do not take immediate action on that. I mean, my state can fine up to $30,000 a day for ongoing pollution. They don't like to pull that trigger, but they can certainly wield it as a weapon if they want action very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those. I'm going to go back to the pots of money. There is pollution coverage for marine insurance policies. You should have the maximum, which I believe is around $1 million today. Heaven forbid you're in a marine protected area and you run up on coral, everything just gets magnified.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that Phil said times 6, it's just going to get crazier and crazier. So make sure that policy has that pollution coverage as well. A lot of homeowners, if you're putting your boat on your homeowners, probably doesn't.
Also, look at Florida. We're talking about pollutants released into the water. And when you look at environmental and ecological, run up into the protected seagrass areas
Yep.
in Florida and see the bills that start coming down on you because your hull dug a channel 30 yards into the protected seagrass. Then look at the guy who has to recover it, who they're telling you cannot damage any more seagrass. There needs to be people on site. Marine mammals are becoming a big issue up here. What are we doing that are affecting the marine mammals? There's all of these separate groups and separate environmental issues that don't come first and foremost when you're so focused on open 90 and oil pollution, that depending on where you are, go to the Exumas and get up on some of that reef and see what happens to you. There's a lot to consider there.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't think about that until you're talking about it, where it's like, the damage has been done going in, but you also now can't create new damage when you remove it. So, yeah, that's great. And you also don't think about the waste tank and other things like that are coming out. You got black water coming out while you're trying to dive down. Like that's some nasty stuff there.
Yeah, we have a
So,
beach up here where the piping plover, a very small, annoying bird, has its nesting, and it becomes a protected area about 10 months out of the year. We had a boat run up there. You cannot approach it via vehicle. You cannot touch the shoreline via water. So you have to park about a mile away, walk through with a federal officer next to you so you don't disturb the nests. Then you have to get a diver in his gear deployed from the boat. He can only go directly to the boat inside the sanctuary. He can only hook it up. You have to walk back out, and you need to pull that boat off the beach without disturbing the nests. That turns a very simple operation into an environmental nightmare because you're scared to death. You're going to have that fish and wildlife officer screaming at you that you disturbed one egg. Sea turtles are a problem down south. You cannot get up on those beaches as they're laying eggs. These all play into it when you're trying to, as an insurer, as an underwriter, as an adjuster, as the salver, what am I touching here? And am I opening up a can of worms I can't easily close?
Hey there, sorry to take you away from the video, but real quick, did you know that on average a boat owner will spend between $1,000 and $5,000 a year just on servicing their engine? And you could actually pocket and save a lot of that money if you would just do the service yourself. It might seem like a daunting task, but I guarantee you virtually everyone can do it with our guidance and the Boaters program. This is just one skill that you could learn inside the program because we have hundreds of other videos teaching you all kinds of boating skills, as well as a weekly live stream where we have questions and answers with me, as well as a chat feature where you can send videos and pictures, ask all kinds of questions, or look for some advice or some guidance on a project that you're doing on your boat. You can join the program by hitting the first link in the description, clicking join, or visiting bornagainboating.com. Now back to the video.